Hello everyone and welcome to Garden to Kitchen. Today we're going to be talking about making soil blocks. That's right, soil blocks. Spring is around the corner and we want to get our plants off to a good start. So I'm going to be showing you how to make soil blocks. Soil blocks have been around for a long time. The Aztecs, the Chinese, they were making them, centuries ago. And of course the more modern day soil block comes from Holland. That's right, from Holland. And during the 1970s, our gardening super rock star, Elliot Coleman, had a lot of great recipes for making soil blocks. And that really energized the soil blocking business in North America. And we're still making soil blocks today. I've been making them for quite a few years now. I use this traditional soil blocking device that comes from Great Britain. It's made by Ladbroke in England. And there's many versions of it. This one happens to be a 2-inch soil block, which I find satisfactory for me. There are also 1-inch and 4-inch, larger ones as well too, that are used commercially, where they seed into very, very small soil blocks, about 1 inch long, or 1 inch square, I should say. And then they transplant them into larger soil blocks and move them up and plant them in the field that way without any shock. And that's essentially the idea behind this, is you don't have to use plastic. All of those little plastic devices that are used to, generate the plants or germinate the seeds no longer end up in landfills. So that's a great idea. And it allows us to customize the soil for the blocks, and that's kind of fun as well too. So I'm going to show you how to do this and how to mix the soil. I just wanted to demonstrate the blocker itself. As I push the soil blocker here, you can see the divots. And these divots, of course, can be seen here, and they create an opening in the soil where you put the seed, and then you can gently cover the seed with a bit of soil, and they're on their way to germinating in the soil block. So that's what I'm going to be doing. So I have this bucket in front of me here. It's a plastic bucket that's about, here it is here, about 23 inches, 24 inches by 18. I got this at Lowe's, actually. It's designed to mix cement, but it has sloping sides, and it's about $12. It's a really good buy, and it works really well for this particular purpose. I usually put on a pair of gloves because sometimes it gets pretty muddy in here when we're mixing the soil. This year I'm using a mixture of ProMix. You can see here it is an organic ProMix that has peat moss in it, and it has perlite as well too, and some proprietary fertilizer as well. And of course I'm going to be putting some of my own fertilizer that I generated from my rolling compost bin last year, and I have some up front here which I'm going to show you how I'm going to mix. Now my ratio this year is 4:1, so I'm using 4 units of the ProMix and 1 unit of the compost that I made. So I've already put in a couple buckets here, so I'm going to show you how I'm going to do the rest. So I'm going to add my final 2 of the ProMix, that's 1, and the other one here is my secondary one. So I've got all my ProMix in here, and then finally, this is the super stuff. This is the kitchen and yard waste that has been turned into this beautiful compost, and I'm going to add that as well. Okay, so we have all of our soil mixed in here, and we're going to get our soil blocker ready. Take off a little bit of ground, and we're going to mix it so it's all blended together. And I'm using this this device that I usually use for drywall. It's plastic, and it's really kind of handy because it allows me to scrape the bottom and tilt everything up so everything mixes nicely. Now the ground is not that moist. There was a little bit of water in here, but I'm going to add more. So I have my 2 liter of water here, which I'm going to add to make the soil blocks. And I guess you might say it's like playing in mud. Maybe that's why it's so interesting to do. And you can see that the soil is starting to clump together, and the more it clumps together, that's a good sign, because the soil blocker really only works when the soil is exceptionally moist, so that when we push the soil blocker into the ground, it will create this rock solid, or this soil block. So I'm just going to mix it up a bit more here and just chop up some of the larger pieces. You can let this sit overnight if you wish, or you can just go ahead and do it. Well, that's what I do. Once I start, I keep going until it's done. Okay, so it looks fairly moist. You can see there was a drip of water coming out of it. Yeah, there it is there. So that's a good sign that it's wet enough. Okay, so here we're going to try this and see how this works. Now, I'm going to move my plants over here so you can see what's going on. Here's the soil blocker. Of course, when you depress it like this, you can see the divots, and it comes back in its previous location. And all you have to do is push it into the soil and give it a couple twists and turn. Okay, so here it is. You can see that the soil has come up to the bottom. And what we're going to do is, for the demonstration, is we're going to depress this device like this. And voila, as they say. There we have our soil blocks. And the block is completely contained. And of course, to be able to see that, I'm going to have to put it on my red glove here so you can see the actual soil block. And it has a small hole here where we put the seed in, and of course then we put a dusting of earth on top of that, and away it goes. Once the plant starts to grow, the roots encompass the little block, and the roots are actually pruned because the blocks sit up against each other, and there's a little bit of a space. As you can see here in my tomato plants, which I germinated a couple weeks ago, and here they're doing exceptionally well. And what I've done is I put in several seeds into each block, and then I've used a pair of scissors to nip off the ones that are weaker, just keeping the stronger ones in the soil block. So that's how you soil block. I find that these are large enough. I transplant them into larger 6-inch pots so that the tomato plants can grow larger. And other than that, if I'm planting cucumbers and they only need about 2 weeks growth, these are terrific. You just put your seeds in there, and then when you put them outdoors, the transplant shock is reduced, so your plants will get off to a good start. Okay, so I hope this gives you an idea about soil blocking, and it demystifies all the process of making them. Essentially playing in mud, or playing in the soil, and making the blocks with a soil blocker. So I hope you enjoyed this. I hope you forward this to your friends by your social media, your favorite social media. I hope you subscribe. Hit that subscribe in the bottom right hand corner, and you'll get all the updates of my new videos coming out. So thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time. Bye-bye.